All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Aliou. It is good to see you again. Um, for those of you, we do have friends who are in the program and also some fellow and faculty members in the program who are here. But for those of you who do not know, Aliou is a recent graduate of the Master of Arts program here at Old Dominion University, and he is currently a Ph.D. student at the University of Houston, down in Houston, Texas. Also by the sea, but I'm sure we can ask Aliou. I think it actually is hotter there. When you get there in August, I've been there in August, it feels that way. Our plan for the next few minutes that we have together is just to have I'm going to briefly introduce Aliou for those of you who are less familiar with him. And then Aliou and I talked about a few questions. I have some questions from students and from participants who sent them in early. And then we'll take some questions from the participants who are here now, and just ask Aliou how his experience has gone and how things are going. And so Aliou is a native from Senegal. What a list of languages, Aliou. English, French, Spanish, Pular, and Wolof, which hopefully I did not say those too badly. He can use ArcGIS, he used Python, LaTeX, MATLAB, SAS, R, and Stata. I can tell you I am not versed in all of those. He was a Marvin and Marilyn Simon Fellow with us here at ODU. He's been a graduate research assistant with the Department of Economics here at ODU. He worked with the Dragus Center at ODU as well. And currently he is on a graduate research assistantship with the University of Houston. He has a Bachelor of Science in Economics and Management, and a Master's in Public Economy Management from University of Caen in Normandy, and he received his MA in economics with us just in May of this year. And so we are still not used to not seeing in the halls, Ali.
Yeah.
It's disappointing. I just traded text with Ria as well here in the last couple of days, and she was saying how she missed everyone. So with that said, let me unshare my screen to where we can see each other a little better. Please, if you would, what motivated you when you started thinking about education? Why did you want to receive a doctorate?
First of all, hi everyone. I know some faces here. Some of them are new to me. I'm excited to be here today and have this 1 hour session with you. And as he explained, I'm a former ODU student where I spent great times both in academia and even beyond. Today, I'm glad that I got what I wanted is joining a PhD program. And I got this opportunity thanks to the help of the faculty members at ODU, because it's not only about academics, it also, it depends on how you are guided, what you learn. It's a combination of many, many, many things. So if you just think it's about only academics or only about things I don't think you are in a good route. So it's a combination of many, many, many things. Like in economics, if you get an opportunity, maybe it's just a consequence of an externality or even a random shock or anything else. So just, yeah, give you an idea about.
Yeah. Aliou is almost always gracious. He is a very hardworking student. I was impressed with your hard work and dedication while you were here. And very pleased. We'll come back around. I'll ask you about how things are going at Houston, but you can think about this because many of the students and many of the people who will be watching this will probably be interested in doctoral programs. So how did you decide which programs to apply to? Because you applied to, it was more than just Houston, correct?
Yes. Yes. When I was applying, my my strategy was to define a list of programs which is a little bit diverse. So some university were too high in terms of ranking. Some of them were in the middle of the table, and some of them at the bottom. So to maximize my chances, I think that was the best strategy that I could do. I applied in some universities knowing perfectly that I'm not going to be admitted there. But sometimes we never know. We never know. So I think the idea is just to, to diversify it a little bit so that at least at the end you will not say, oh, if I knew I would apply in this university. So just use all the options that you have. Because no, I'm not seeing a university who is not accepting applications. So if all universities are ready to take applications, just apply everywhere, depending on your resources, on your motivation and stuff. Just
Ooh,
use whatever resources you have.
that's
So that's what
that
I did.
sounds
Yeah.
like a lot of time, Aliou. So
Yes.
so so in terms of a number, how many? So you may be have been low or high. Did you apply to like 6 or 12, or how many applications did you send last year?
Honestly, I think I applied 39 in 39
Oh,
programs. Yes.
so that is impressive, Aliou.
Yes. 39 programs. It was a lot.
39.
Yes.
Okay. Um, that is impressive. I knew that you had applied to a lot. I will admit to our audience, I was one of the ones who served as a reference for some of those applications.
Definitely.
Um, I do think that when I applied, so this does not mean that there's a perfect answer, but I applied, I think, to like 12 or 14 when I applied to schools. But it really is according to how risk averse you are and how many resources you want to spend. I mean, it is. I agreed when we spoke about it last year, Aliou.
Definitely.
And so clearly, with 39 applications, there were some challenges during the
Of
process.
course. Of
So
course.
if you were looking at this, I don't know, in August of last year, right? So you're just starting the application process.
Mhm.
Um, were there some challenges in particular that you would be like, you should be careful about this, students or something?
Of course. I think the only part that is very challenging in an application is the GRE, because everything else during the time of the application, there is no way to change them. Your previous GPA, no way to change that. The letter of recommendation, it could be written in 10 minutes, 15 minutes. The SOP, the same. The letter of recommendation, you cannot change what the professor is going to write for you because he's going to write about a history which is already realized. So the only part that is very time consuming and challenging is the GRE, and which also can be very, very determinant. So I think that was the most challenging part. Personally, I took it twice.
Okay, I was going to ask that. You took it
Yes,
twice, Aliou. Okay.
I got a good score in the first one. I can tell my score. The first one I got 163 over, yes, over 170 in the quant and 160 over 170 in the
Oh,
verbal.
which is
So
good in the verbal.
yes,
Yeah.
it was good, but depending on, because sometimes just one single point can make a big difference if you
Right.
think about percentiles. And sometimes some universities are very, very strict about percentiles. If you don't
Right.
meet the percentiles, it's
Yeah.
too,
There might just be a cutoff. And
yes,
if you're below the cutoff,
yes,
you kind of slide
definitely.
out of the stack.
And
Um,
what is funny is my second attempt, I took it after submitting many of my applications because my goal is, okay, let me just try it again. If I get a better score, I might ask if I can submit and improve my application.
ah.
So that one, I got a perfect score on the quant section, but a lower score in the
Oh,
verbal.
in the verbal. Oh,
So yeah, that's it. I think that part, to me at least, and I think in most of the applicants, were the most challenging part.
uh, with the GRE. And how far ahead of time did you start thinking about the GRE? Did you take a course or did you have like books that you worked through?
Honestly, I since I knew that I'm going to apply for a PhD after the master's program, I started in since the beginning of my master's program.
Mhm.
Sometimes, anytime I have even 1 hour, I spend time on it, working on it
Oh,
slowly. During the my first summer, during the master's program, my first summer, I spent the whole summer working on the GRE. And
oh,
just some months prior to the application times, and then I started to really intensify it, you know,
as you got
preparing.
closer.
But it was mostly by myself because I don't think there is this is it's a good strategy to be taught how to do the GRE. It depends on it's very personal.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
These are
Um,
skills that you have to develop by yourself and find your own way to be comfortable in the test. Yeah. Mhm.
and so we got a question that came in from one of the students, and this is something that so like at our master's program at ODU, we are GRE optional if you have a certain GPA or higher. Did you see PhD programs that were it was optional for the GRE score, or is it still pretty much PhD programs want to see the GRE?
Yes. Also, when I was applying, some universities are also now have removed this requirement of the
Oh,
GRE.
they have.
So
Okay.
yes, so it's also important when choosing the programs, try also to diversify a little bit in terms of some universities that made it optional and those that are not requiring it, and maybe a little bit of programs that require the GRE. For instance, but be careful about the optional GREs because sometimes they say optional, but it doesn't mean that it's not a requirement. To them, some people may submit it, others might not.
Oh, right. So
It's
a good score will not hurt you.
yes, definitely.
Right.
So yeah, try to balance it a little bit and think about, you know, not required and optional are different.
Okay.
Yes.
Um, so one thing, and so this was a question that was submitted early by Cameron, who's one of our current master students. Um, was there something that how did you work to make yourself stand out as an applicant, or was there something you heard back from schools that they noticed? They were like, "Oh, Aliou, we saw that this was in your application, and this makes you look like a good candidate."
Honestly, I think the least thing that I was thinking was not going to have an impact on my application. I think ended up being the thing that played a key role. It is my writing sample,
Oh,
which
that is
was
interesting.
which was optional in the application process. They ask you sometimes to submit a work that you have done. It can be a final paper class or something. So I had a paper that I did, I think in Econ 700 at ODU. I just took the same paper and I submitted it.
Oh, and so I'm sorry, which class was it that you had done it for? It was what paper?
Econ 700, like
Oh,
econ
so
is
the
in the front.
introductory, the first in the
Yes,
econometric series.
yes. And
Oh,
during my interview, I was thinking of, okay, what are the questions that am I going to be asked? But I was not thinking about that paper. But all the questions of the interview were related to this paper
it's the
specifically.
paper. Well, you must have responded pretty well.
Yes, I responded pretty well because I worked on it, so I was a little bit comfortable about the topic. But I was not expecting that all the questions were going to
Or would
be.
it be about the writing sample? That is interesting. And so this is something that I think that some other students, I try to encourage, but I don't know that students always work to take advantage of it. Did you present some of your work outside of the class? Did you go to a conference while you were with us, or did you have some of those experiences?
Of course, during my last semester, for instance, I got the great opportunity to present my final paper in econometrics 3 and my capstone project,
Mhm.
thanks to the help and the guidance of Dr. Kardasi, who was really, really, really helpful at a conference at the Virginia Association of Economists. And honestly, I got really great feedback on that paper, and which also guided me into how to. Honestly, I even decided to restart that capstone project from scratch to make it better and hopefully to publish it.
Oh, great, great. And,
So
and
it
and
was
so
a
Alex
yes,
is giving a thumbs up. I see him. We
yes,
do see the
yes,
gestures.
yes. By the way, hi, Dr. Kadasi. I saw you on the yes. So,
Mm.
so it was a great opportunity, and also I met many people there who are in the discipline, in the domain, and
Right,
very good feedback, even from people who are not doing research in the paper that I was presenting.
right,
Just to say that sometimes even a layperson, in the extreme case, just even a layperson can give you feedback
right. Good
and
questions
ideas.
about how things are structured. I've had good questions from people who
Definitely.
do not work in the areas that I've been in.
Definitely.
Um, and so we do have a couple first year students with us in the master's program. So hopefully that's something that they might be interested
Yes.
in. And so, oh, I'm getting one question. So exactly what topic was it? I don't want to strain too much from into the details, but so what was the project about that you worked on
Yes,
with?
the project was generally about sports economics, and the
That's
idea was to look about the impact of league structures in soccer. In soccer
that's
there
right.
is things called relegation, promotion. If you do better, you get promoted, like
Right.
at the firm level. So what are the impacts of being promoted in soccer, or the impact of being relegated if you perform poorly in a previous season? So that was the kind of idea, and it was a great setting to apply one of the key methods that I learned in causal inference, which is called regression discontinuity design. You will have time to
In the
learn that
RDT
with
paper.
Dr. Kadasi.
Cool.
Yes.
Yeah, we talk about more than GDP.
you know,
It is true.
yes.
Um, and so turning back a little bit, um, so how did, and I'm sure that there are things, this is some feedback for us too as a department, so please feel free to be honest. How did you think that your master's program helped prepare you for what you've seen so far? This is your first semester, you've not taken finals yet. um, what areas did you think you focused on most, and what do you think has helped you as you transition into the doctorate program?
Honestly, right now I'm taking statistics class. I'm saying statistics and econometrics a little bit, but honestly, it is very math based.
Hmm.
But to understand the math, you need to understand the intuition. And honestly, what I learned from ODU, I think, was a very good basis and foundation that made it very easily for me to digest this content,
Okay.
even if it is sometimes in very advanced mathematics. Sometimes just by understanding the intuition makes it very easier and faster to grasp that. So
It,
what I'm doing is just it is it is 100% math based. On
okay. And so is this the econometrics one course, or is this a mathematical statistics
For
course?
right now, it is statistics, but I would say what we are doing in this class, it is also very related to econometrics.
Very much it's sort of between those two. This is a when we talked the other day, this is a course that is it's normal in the first year PhD. I was envisioning the content. So that was a question I had that might inform some other.
Yes.
Um and so one of the questions, so Anthony, one of the people who's in attendance from the curriculum at ODU, do you so you may have answered this. Do you think that the econometric series was the most important in probably preparing you
Honestly,
for
I
what
think the econometric series, the entire econometric series, starting from Econ 700, to me, was the most important part that I got from it.
for what you've seen this far?
And having experience being a student in France, here in the US, and having also taught online many students in France and everywhere, I can see that to me, I think at ODU we are above the average in terms of teaching econometrics.
Oh, that is
Yes,
nice. I was waiting for a thumbs up from Alex, but
yes.
it
And it is a
has not
very
arrived yet.
it is a very honest opinion about, based on my experience. And even I will because here I'm also attending the seminars.
Oh, yes.
Yes, comparing myself maybe 4 years or 5 years before when I was attending seminars at France in France when I was sometimes understanding nothing about what people are presenting. Right now it's completely different. I can and it also even helped me communicate better because of the tools that I got, the research tools that I in economics that I got at ODU.
Gotcha.
And even about my thinking process improved a little bit because learning new methods and having applied them
Previously, yes.
helps also in the thinking process. And I think, honestly, it was the key part that I wanted to highlight. Yeah.
That's great. We just had a question come in from Dr. Cardazzi. And it's true, we do have some prospective students here, and I'm assuming that we'll have some that watch this after the fact. Were there some things that you wish you had done before ODU? So I asked you sort of before Houston, and so coming from abroad, right? Were there some things that you would recommend if you were applying and you think you'll probably arrive at ODU in the fall? Are there some things that can help you get ready to come study with us?
Okay. Can you please repeat the question?
Of course. So, were there some things that you wish that you had done before you started at Old Dominion University? So, like when you were in France or when you were in Senegal, were there some things that would have helped you get ready to start in the United States studying?
Honestly, I think if I had something to change prior to coming to audio, maybe it will be, but it is something that there is no way of changing it because it was the mathematics. Because if you need to go to PhD, you need to take some math classes, which are very, very, very required in the some programs. But often in some countries, how the system works, it will not allow you to like be in an econ department and have the flexibility to go and take some calculus courses and everything. And I think it might hinder a lot of applicants sometimes,
Oh,
just
yeah,
based on the system, which is not understood by many people who have not traveled a lot
yeah,
and see how it works outside. But if I had that opportunity before, that's what I would do. But unfortunately, the system will even not allow it.
right.
So, yeah.
Um, so this sort of um, dovetails with Alex's question. So if you have students, and we have a couple from our first year with us now, this is from one of the people who've applied for next year, Nibono. Um, during the during the MA program, are there electives that you thought were more helpful than others? Or would you recommend, like, well, maybe you would step outside of economics and take this course or something? Because we do offer some flexibility in the curriculum too.
Honestly, I think the electives were very, very, very helpful. I took uh, labor econ, transportation economics. Yes,
The labor was with me, so that okay.
definitely. And environmental, yes, and environmental economics. And honestly, I think all of them were very helpful. Um, for instance, they are all technically micro based and a little bit research based because the good advantage in this class is also a way to apply what you learn in some classes which were a little bit technical, like econometrics, or if you ever took statistics course or everything.
Yeah.
Because in these classes, people discuss papers. And what I really liked about it, and I think it very matches with most of the people needs, because generally people who do economics after they graduate, they tend to go to look for jobs in transportation industries or
Hmm.
labor. It is very general. Labor, it is very general, very,
We
yes,
could talk about a lot of stuff in a
definitely.
labor
But
economics course.
transportation, yes, transportation also, I think also is very, very, very important because
Hmm.
it is very difficult to talk about economy, regional economies and stuff without, discussing about transportation issues. It is everywhere. So I think it's a class that, was very, very helpful. And honestly, I what I learned from this transportation econ class, for instance, is not just about transportation, but even in econometrics, because we discussed a lot of
Of
papers,
course. Yeah.
sometimes which helped me understand a lot of things about econometrics, things I was ignoring, things that was not very clear to me sometimes. And also the thinking process through, like, because sometimes you are asked, to think about some papers, to see how you can discuss them and everything. And I think if you go to the job market, sometimes that's what a boss can ask you.
Yeah.
What do you think about this system? We need to implement this. What do you think about this? You can maybe go do some search, see some papers that discuss some stuff and try to see how you can use that and build new information or make some recommendation for public policies for the government law and stuff. So it's all important. But if I had some recommendation to do, maybe just try to development economics,
Yeah.
which
So
is,
I'm supposedly slated to
yeah,
teach development in the spring. So I'm looking forward to this.
yes.
It'll be my
It's-
first time
yeah, I think
with the
that's
content.
because I think the an elective course also should be very broad, should
They
always
are.
be
Yeah.
very specific. Maybe sometimes depending on the resources, if resources are available, maybe try to make it a little bit specific. Also, we can satisfy everyone needs, so it's difficult to get. It's not possible to get electives in every topic, so it's
It's true. We wish we had more, but
yes,
but 10 courses is what we have in our program.
yes.
And so um this will change sort of the direction for a little bit, but I did want to make sure and ask um some questions about like how in general you may have gotten ready. So do you now, or like have you in the past worked with mentors, or have you sought mentors in the past? Do you recommend this for students?
Of course, generally, I was a, I am also still a type of student who generally ask questions and would like sometimes to have a very diverse opinions. The goal being, getting many information and try to see how you can use this information to make a good choice. Because at the end of the day, you are the only one who knows what you can do or what you can't or what you should or not. So I think the more people you approach and ask for advice, the better. When I was at ODU, I think I used to ask advice to almost every professor.
Oh, okay.
Even
So
professors who didn't write recommendation letters for me, I approached them just to get some insights from them. and see how I can use it to get what I need. Yeah.
So so that also and this is something that students will eventually get to, whether their first year or they're thinking about it or they're thinking of applying. How did you manage or how do you decide who to ask for recommendation?
Uh, I think for the recommendation letter, what is really, really important is that the person knows you. I think the professor should know you. Sometimes I remember when I was in France, I approached a professor who told me that I would like to write you a letter, but maybe you should approach Professor X who has a higher rank than me and stuff. But honestly, I don't think it's about the ranking of the professor. I think it's about if the person knows you or not. Because if someone doesn't know you, I don't think they will be able to write something about you.
Yeah.
So
Just
I think
I've had that response as well before,
yes,
Aliou. It's like perhaps you might think of someone who has a better like a title that's higher than mine or a better rank.
yes.
And I understand the concern, but yes.
I think the first criterion that I would say is that the person knows you first. I think that's the most important part. And then maybe the title is very important, of course, because apparently some university they just look at who wrote the letter, and maybe the credibility of the recommendation letter depend on the who wrote it. But
Oh,
also, if the person does not know you, I don't think they will be able. It's not very helpful. They don't know how to write things about you. So the first thing I think the first thing to look at is, okay, I need letters who I think would have enough information to write something about me.
uh,
I think that's one of the most important things to consider when it comes to recommendation letters, and also approach them as early as possible. Yes, I did not do that unfortunately because I tried, but try to approach them very early.
yeah. But you
Now,
still got 39 applications,
yes,
John.
yes, yes,
That is impressive in itself. I'm not
definitely.
sure if everyone that is I am impressed. I'll tell
It's
you.
yeah, it's yeah, it was very challenging, but at the end of the day, we ended up doing it. It was successful.
Yeah.
Yes.
So was there anything, and so this is so you've got recommendations and then statement of purpose is also something when you said SOP,
Yes.
how did you work on that? What did you talk about personal things a lot or did you talk about your professional goals? Was there anything in particular you made sure to include or
Honestly, on the SOP, I just have a small paragraph. I think it's just the initial paragraph that talks about something very personal about me, and I think it was just one or two sentences because the most important thing is just you highlight your abilities and your motivation, and also it's an indirect way to let the admission committee that you know something or you did something because they are not interested in your, I would not say personal life or something, but it's because sometimes people think this SOP as somewhere when you tell your story, your personal story. It should not be personal story. Of course, we need a little bit of personal touch, but the most important thing is to highlight a little bit your motivations, to talk more about research, projects, what you want, and how you think that what you learned before can help you get what you are aiming for. I think that should be you know, the core of the SOP.
the core of the letter?
Mhm.
Hmm. Uh, and so, question from Kristen coming from us from up at Howard's.
My friend and former classmate.
That's right. We have numerous people attending today.
Yeah.
So ODU is a very applied program. I agree. That is part of how we designed it. That's our hope. Can you tell us some differences between the applied program that you had at ODU and perhaps the more theory focused experience you had in France?
Of course. Honestly, I would say they were very, 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 very complimentary. Very, very complimentary. It's not the same, but it was very, very, very complimentary because sometimes even the theory, because in France, my studies in France were very, 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 very theoretical. And at ODU, it was very, very applied. But now, combining these theory and empirics, I think has been very or is being very rewarding to me because right now in class I'm seeing some stuffs that I remember we learned in sophomore, right? But it was not thinking about it now. I realized, okay, I was thinking that I understood these things, but it was not that deep. I just got the little surface idea about these things. But
Mm.
I also think it's important because at least, hearing about this at least once in your life can also give you a good basis, you know, because like right now in macro, even in macro stuff, I'm seeing some concepts that I heard many times before. So compared
Right.
to someone like who comes from engineering degrees and everything, they don't know about. Sometimes they know. It's there is a kind of how would I say it? A strategic advantage in terms of. I would not say strategic. I would say just a little bit of advantage compared to someone who did not do econ before. So to sum up, I would say both my experience in theory and empirics were very, very complementary. And even now, for instance, I have some professors here who are doing both theory and applications.
Right.
Some of them are, for instance, interested in causal inference and stuff, but they also do theoretical stuff. I have one professor, what he's doing is he's looking for like reduced form research ideas and try to see how he can make it a little bit, how he can use theory to explain.
Right.
Yes. So I think economics is, very broad. It's very, everything is not isolated. All is
Right.
very interdependent.
Mm.
So yeah.
Um, had another question come in from the crowd. Dr. Kadazi, and I think this is good. It was in. I was going to get there hopefully. Um, how did you choose? So you came over. You've made two decisions about schooling in the United States. So, like, how did you to choose ODU? And last year, I remember you had options, but so how did you choose Houston? Was there anything in particular that caught your eye or caught your attention?
Yes. I chose Houston because I think in when they accepted me, they invited me to visit. But honestly, I think this visit played a key role in my choice of Houston. I think when I came here, when I discussed with the faculty members, with the interest, the environment, it was just one day, but I think that day really influenced me in accepting the program. And also, of course, there are many other external factors that I considered in deciding, like the cost of living, the stipend,
Right,
because it is a funded PhD program. So
of course.
all those considerations also played a key role in, you
In the
know,
decision, did you have um oh shoot, what was it? Did you visit any other programs in person last like when you were
uh,
making the decision?
no, I didn't visit any other program.
Okay.
It was just Houston that offered me that opportunity. So I
I
got
mean that
other, yes,
that
I got
is
other,
nice.
yes,
I,
yes.
I did not receive an invitation
No.
that was funded to come visit. So that is a very nice recruiting thing that Houston
Yeah.
has. Yeah.
So
Um,
that was a great experience coming here, and I think it also helped me a lot in terms of adaptation. It was just one day, but when I came here in August, it was easy for me because I know the buildings and everything, even just
Oh, you were somewhat familiar. Now,
Yes,
with that said, did you have some Zoom meetings? Did you have Zoom interviews with other universities as well? Some other,
yes. I at some point I had an interview with University of Arizona, Tucson, I think.
okay.
But I didn't choose this program because, of course, I already made my choice at that point for Houston, and also I don't think what they offer really matches with what I need. So
What you were looking for.
it
And
was,
that,
even if it was a little bit higher in terms of ranking, but it's not just about the ranking, but it's also about the interest in,
right. So if you know, and we talked a little bit about your wants, if the department has people that work in the area you want to work in, this is a big plus. You will
yes,
not you it's not as hard to find a mentor or someone to be on your committee when it comes time for your dissertation.
definitely.
Um, so so I mean, there's lots of stories about the first year. And I don't want to neglect it. So how are you feeling about your first year? What has been challenging for you? Like with your coursework, or like it's a new city, I know as well. But
Honestly, I think the the most challenging part is just managing the coursework and the I'm doing RA work also for one of my professors. So sometimes the RA work can be very time consuming. So the biggest challenge is just to know how to balance coursework and RA work.
yeah,
And I think that's one of the things that, you know, that is stressing me or every day because I'm doing a lot of RA work right now, and honestly, many it is taking me a lot of time, of course.
a
Of
lot
course,
of
if you need
hours.
to do good work, it will take you time.
That's
So,
right. I mean, you are, and this happens in courses.
yes,
If we have potential students in our program, in a bachelor's program,
yes,
you are kind of interviewing for 2 years, 3 years from now. I
yes.
mean, Aliou is looking for recommendations when he's finishing his dissertation with his work. You want to be known for quality work, being personable.
That's it.
It is
And what I'm
a
and
long term.
what I'm doing right now also is a little bit related to what I learned at the Dragon Center.
Right.
Honestly, you know, so everything is built on top of, yes. So that is helping me. That is help. It's a different nature of work, but also a
Right.
little bit related to, yes.
All right. And so, how are you seeing? What kind of difference do you think? And this is for students who are thinking about the change from bachelor's to master's to doctoral work. What do you see as the difference in expectations and workload? I mean, I'm assuming those have gone up.
Honestly, I think the difference in terms of accept expectation is in terms of rigorousness. For instance, when it comes to academics, the level of rigor they expect us, for instance, like our professors sometimes they write things on the board assuming that we know that, you know. And sometimes they tell it's a PhD program, we expect you to know this, and this. So very rigorous. Even a small detail counts a lot to them. So
Uh,
I think the level of rigorousness, both in terms of the quality of work compared to, I think that they are more lenient with undergrad and even master students, but what they expect from us, I think, is very high compared to our prior
very different.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also in terms of the coursework, the level of rigorousness in terms of math is also very, very, very high. I spent a lot of time preparing that, but even with all I prepared, I was always feeling that I'm not ready. And what I learned from that is we will never be ready, you know. just learn
Yeah,
whatever you need. Yeah.
I mean, eventually it becomes a leap of faith, I think, right? So in a PhD program, you are so close to to basically turning and being the other side of the classroom. And so it is good, it is a lot of work, but you are so close to becoming that other side of the podium that I think some of that is programs want you to start assuming the responsibility. It's like if you make mistakes, you are teaching students things that could be mistakes. Um, thing. So how about I know I got a question or two waiting on me here. Is so for MA students considering a PhD, do you have advice? So like personal advice, they're thinking about it. So like preparing or being ready, and then professional advice. So like I'm thinking about a doctorate. What could probably best prepare me?
I think, first of all, do not neglect anything that they are learning and to not base what they learn based on what they want. Sometimes, because we do never know what the future holds for us, sometimes you might ended up in something that you were not expecting that, you know, that will be your final destination.
Yeah.
So everything you are taught in class, learn it, at least know what everyone knows about it, every standard person knows about it, so that anytime you will hear about it in the future at work, whether it is PhD or the job in a, at work or whatever,
Mhm.
just you have at least, something about it so that it will be easier to go deep into it. Because many students sometimes when they say, okay, I'm not interested in this. Sometimes I think when you are at the stage of learning, learn everything you can. Do not be very selective about interest. But at some point, maybe when you will start doing research and you know that it is probably going to be your final destination, you may start try to narrow it a little bit. And you know, but at the stage of learning, do not be picky in terms of I want this, I don't want this.
Mm.
Do all, yes. And
Well,
also maybe if you want to, whether it is PhD or if you want to go to work, if you can try to see if you can get like certifications in programming.
oh yes, yeah,
I
external
think,
validation of skill.
yes, I think because what is also important is try to see how you can distinguish yourself from the average candidates and stuff. Sometimes just one single thing that you may ignore or you may minimize in your resources that you have can make a big difference.
Um,
So getting a certification tells that, okay, it's not, you will not say, okay, I can do this, but certification will tell you that, will tell for you that you can do this.
someone else confirmed you can do it.
So it's something maybe that can help you. Yeah.
It's three.
Mm.
Um, and so a couple more. I had one come in, and so clearly, you graduated here just recently, and you'd made connections in the department and in and around Norfolk and Hampton Roads. Um, was it difficult to leave? And is there something you miss about being at ODU?
Of course, I I miss ODU because honestly, in the building, honestly, people are very nice, very welcoming. The atmosphere is not something that you will see everywhere. So it's something very, it's a good opportunity. Every time you see people, they are nice, they smile, they make you feel comfortable. At the department, the faculty are very welcoming, you know, very, very helpful. And I can tell that it's not something that you will see everywhere.
Yeah.
So if you
Yeah.
have these kind of advantages, or opportunities, take advantage of it, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I do like the people
Yes,
that we
and
met.
also the area, definitely the area in general is very. I miss the how quiet it is. It is calm. It is peaceful. It is, maybe
Yeah.
peaceful is an extreme word, but
But
I like the atmosphere. How it is because I am here in a very big city, which is very, things are very busy. So it's a very different environment compared to
right.
Fort
And we
Wayne.
still have like 1.7 million people or so in
Yeah,
Hampton
yeah,
Roads. It's quite a few people, but
yeah, but
it is a
yeah,
little more quiet than you'd like.
yeah. But here it's a different environment, so it's very hot. People are also a little bit different because the nature of the city is different. So
Uh,
I miss everything there. Yeah, of course.
of course. Uh,
Yeah.
um, cool. We're down. We don't have a lot of time. I've got one question that someone asked, and then one uh, I'm kind of intrigued. So, have your career goals, have your research goals changed or evolved since you arrived at Houston? Are you
Uh, I think uh, my career goals has not changed. The same. I would like to go to academia, but I'm also open to the industry. My preference is academia, and I consider that I'm still also in the learning process, especially being a first year student, where the goal is just to, I'm having classes, I'm still learning, but maybe next year I will be more on the research part.
yeah,
So I'm still learning everything, even if things I know 100% that I'm not going to use it in research. I'm still learning because
right.
things can change every time, but I don't think my interest will change in between. Yes. So,
Uh, as far as that goes. And so, one, I think that we've handled actually almost every one of the questions that came in, but Shreya had something that when she registered. So this is broad, Aliou. This is not about us or the program you're in. If you were going to say something about the future of being an economist or the future of economics, do you think that the role of an economist will be changing, or how do you view the role of economics in academia? Like, do you think it will change in the future?
I think the role of economists may change in the future because the world is evolving. We have more access to data that we didn't have before. So we should also inspire designers of tools and techniques to develop many, many, you know, many resources that economists can use. So, in the same way that someone who already graduated in, I use the example of people who do law, because if you do law,
Yeah,
you graduated, you will still need to come back to the resources and see the new laws, the updated things, and
yeah,
everything. It's not about the laws that you studied in the past. So it's same in economics. You need to keep track on the developments that are being done. Otherwise, and I
yeah,
think if you are a very active researcher, just maybe missing 1 or 2 months of the developments can make you a little bit, behind of the ranking and everything. Yes, I think it will change because of the how things are changing, the accessibility of resources, the
right.
accessibility of
Just
data.
generally,
Yes.
that's great. Yeah, thank you, Ali. I want to be respectful of yours and the people uh, of their time. We're right up against 2 p.m., which was our slotted time. Uh, Thank you to everyone who came. Thank you so much, Aliou, for
Thank you.
agreeing. Although I will say it didn't seem like I had, you seemed willing. And hopefully, you might be willing to do this again, and so we can follow you in your journey through the PhD program
With pleasure, always.
with Houston. Um, we we we, and I'll say we, I certainly. I'm glad to hear this